Hi, fifth graders. Today we're going to look at lesson 3. We're in unit 1 in lesson 3, and it's on page 14 and 15 in your OWL book. So go ahead and pause this video and get your OWL book out so that you are ready to write. Okay, so now that you have that out, I want to point out a couple of things. I've got some numbers written over here on the side that we're going to use in just a second, and then I put a place value chart that has decimals in it because that's what we're going to be working with today. So up here it says you already know how to round whole numbers. So I made some whole numbers, and I want us to remember the decimals are here. When we write a whole number, we often just don't put the decimal. So the decimal would be right there, and right there. They're at the end. But this is a whole number, and if I said, let's think about 53. Is it closer to 50 or is it closer to 60? You would be able to tell me it's closer to 50 because the 3 is closer to the 50 side than the 60 side if I drew this out on a number line. So if I put 60 down here and 50 down here, in the middle would be 55, and right here is for 53 is somewhere in here, so we know it's closer to the 50 side. 327. If I said, well, let's round that to the tens. So when I did that number line, I would do down here would be my 320. And down here would be my 330. And we would be able to look at that and think, that's not showing up very good, but 327 is going to be closer down here because right in the middle would be my 325, so it's closer to 330. And 4,986, it depends on which place we're rounding it to. If I said let's round it to the thousands, this is closer to 5,000. If I said let's round it closer to the hundreds, this would bounce up, which would make this bounce up, and it would be 5,000 also. So you should know how to round whole numbers. If not, see one of your teachers, and we'll be able to give you some extra practice that will help recall that information. So today we're going to look at decimals. We're going to round decimals. Carolyn jogs 563 thousandths. And I know how to say that because if I put the 5 in place, the 6 in place, and the 3 in place, wherever the last number falls is the number that we call that. So I would know 563 thousandths. And what is the distance rounded to the nearest hundredth? So we always want to look at what it is that they're asking us to round it to. And of course, that's what problem or question A says. The problem wants you to find which place. And it tells us right here. So I want you to go ahead and type in there hundredths. Hundredths. Okay. Now it tells us to complete a place value chart so that we know how to do this, how to look at where it's closer to. I think the place value chart can be confusing because we're not always sure what we need to start out with, what numbers we need to put right here in these two boxes. So I'm going to take that off so that those lines aren't there and you can see that better. There we go. Up here, we know that this number, if we weren't talking in the thousands, we would say 563. And this is the number that we're focusing on. So it's either going to go down, or it's going to stay this number, or it's going to go up. So what I need to write here is 56, and they've already put the 0 in. So we're either going to be closer to 560, or we're going to be closer to 570 thousandths. C says the place value chart shows that 563 is between, now it wants you to call it hundredths, because even though this 0 is there, we don't really need to say that 0. 56 hundredths or 57 hundredths. So we're deciding which, that's what it said we're going to round to. If you go back up here, it said we're going to round to the hundredths. So I'm really focused on this category right here and saying, is it going to be to the 56 or is it going to go up to the 57? So you should be filling this in with your page. And remember, at any time, you can hit the space bar and that pauses the video so that you can get caught up. It doesn't take the video away that's on your screen, so you can pause it and get caught up if you feel like you're getting behind. Okay, so we're going to go to 56 hundredths or 57 hundredths. Now, this 3 helps us decide, are we going to go up this way or are we going to go down here? And there's that saying, 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest, I think is the saying. So 4 or less, let it rest. And since this is a 3, we know that we're going to stay right here. We're not going to move anywhere else. So is 563 thousandths closer to 56 hundredths or 57? You have to actually answer that question. I see 2 question marks. That means you're going to answer 2 questions. So let's put it is closer to 56 hundredths. I put it right there. And I'm going to write because. Because means I'm going to start explaining it. Because the 3 that is in the thousandths place makes the hundredth place stay the same. Okay. Hopefully that helps you. I'm also going to write down here, what did I say a little bit ago? 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. See there? There we go. That kind of helps you. And that's just a little saying that you're going to want to use all the time. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. Okay? Carolyn's distance, 563 thousandths kilometer, rounded to the nearest hundred, is 0.56. But that's not how we say it in 5th grade. We call it by its name. So we call it 56 hundredths. So it says here, find out more. Let's know a little bit more about what we're doing. When you round 563 thousandths to the nearest hundredth, you are deciding whether it is closer to 56 hundredths or 57 hundredths. You can also use a number line to round 563 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. The closest hundredth less than, right here, this number, let me get my pencil back, right here, is 56. The closest hundredth greater than this is 57. So we put the numbers 56 and 57 in this number line. So if this is 56 and this is 57, this is divided in here to this right here would be 561 thousandths, and then we would have 562 thousandths. Oops, forgot my decimal. 562. They already told us 563 thousandths. This one would be 564 thousandths, 565 thousandths, 566 thousandths, 567 thousandths, 568 thousandths, 569 thousandths, and then we would be up to 57 hundredths. So when we actually place the decimal on the line, we can see that it's closer to 56 hundredths. They gave us another example to look at. You can round decimals to other places. For example, rounding 852 thousandths to the nearest tenth means that we're deciding if it is closer to the 8 tenths or the 9 tenths. Because when we say round it to the 10th, then we should underline that 10th. So it's either going to stay right here at this 8 tenths or it's going to go up to the 9 tenths. And then we can label all of these across here again, and we can see that this number falls right here, so it's closer to this side. Okay. Now, what I'd like for you to work on today is trying to think about your number line by looking at practice page 19 and 20. So again, pause the video, get out your practice book, and you can actually tear out 19 and 20. Put that up here, 19 and 20. So this practice page goes along with that lesson. And right here, it gives you some numbers. Use a number line to round 2,600, boy, I can't talk today, 26,145. And that place value chart is really important for us to know, because I know where my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands are. So if this is my ones, this is my tens, this is my hundreds, this is my thousands, this is my 10,000s. So 26 is in the thousands part, 145. So this is a whole number. This isn't even a decimal. It says let's round it to the nearest hundred. So you would want to underline your hundred, which is right there. And then we're looking at the neighbor beside it, and on this number line, it's going to tell us that that's going to stay the same. So work on this lesson and see if you can get that done. Have a great day.